Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm sorry for the delay because we're experiencing some technical issues, but everything behind us. So we're going to start this broadcast. So this is live broadcast. We have chats going on, and if you have questions, please place your questions, and you could stop me at any time and ask me any questions. All right, so just want to make sure that we're live. Yes, we're live, finally. All right, everything is good. So I could see myself that everything is working now. All right, anyway, so what we're doing today, I'm going to show you how to use Python to gather, manipulate, and analyze financial data. And again, I'm here at RoboticView, so that's a bootcamp where you could take courses, Python for data science, Python for machine learning. And please check this page because we got a bunch of also free materials. And also next week, I guess we're doing Python 101. So if you're brand new to Python programming, please join us for Python 101. So it's going to be totally free, and it's going to be also live online. So that would be for complete beginners. All right, let me introduce myself. My name is Art Udin, and I have issued a couple of books on Python. So my recent one is Basic Python for Data Management, Finance, and Marketing. And what I'm about to show you today, I'm about to show you how to get financial information from APIs, application protocol. So pretty much in a nutshell, if you're not familiar with APIs, so basically API is a source of data that you could get from a server, not in HTML, but most of the time data will be coming as JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. And if you're planning to do some work with me, so what you would need to do, you need to go to this page, alphavantage.co. All right, so you could just Google this page. That's what we're going to be using today. We're going to be getting data from the source. So if you just join us, so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be getting this data. So please go to this page, alphavantage.co. And the first thing, what you need to do when you're working with API, and it doesn't matter what kind of API that would be. So in this case, obviously, that's a financial API, very popular source for financial data. And first thing first, you always need to go to documentation. But first thing I would like you to do, I would like you to get to this page and go and click this get free API key. Get free API key. So if you click this button, get free API key, so they will provide you with an API key, and you need to provide a little bit of information such as your email, and you could put like student or other, it's not like really important. And then you need to click this get API key. Now while you getting an API key, let me explain you what an API key. API key is pretty much like login and the username in one key. So it will be combination of letters and numbers. All right, and you could get it here. So Alpha Vantage, just let me give you a little bit about information about Alpha Vantage. Alpha Vantage provides a bunch of financial data. Some of that data is paid data, so that will be up to you if you like really serious, and if you need like data in real time, so then you could like get paid data from them, or they got tons of free data. And I'm going to show you how to get the data from that website and how to manipulate this data using Python. All right, also we will be using Google Colab. So if you're planning to do some work with me, you could just Google Colab, just Google Colab, and you're going to get to this page. So it's totally free. There is no need to install anything. And what you could do, you could just use any Gmail account or any email account, and it's totally free. So you could just log in and you could start writing Python code, and it's kind of cool application. And this cool application, if you want to know, is based on Anaconda. Now, Anaconda is also free, so that's a package that comes with a bunch of Python extensions for data analysis and data science. And you see what they're saying here, thousands of the most fundamental data science, AI, and machine learning packages, you see? So that's kind of cool. Now, you could download it later. Now, the reason why we're not going to be downloading this right now, because it might take like 10-15 minutes. We don't want to waste our time. So that's why we're using Google Colab. So you could go and Google just Colab. So then you need to provide your email and create a free account. So then you could use this Colab. All right, so I see that some people just join us. Okay, so we're going to be getting data from Alpha Vantage, and they provide real-time and historic stock market data. They provide Forex, crypto data. So they also provide technical and economic indicators, and they provide a bunch of other information, financial data. All right, and if you just join us, so the first thing you would need to do, you need to go to get free API key. You could just Google Alpha Vantage, all right, and get an API key. All right, if you're ready to do some work with me, so then we need Google Colab, and let me show you how to use Google Colab if you're brand new to this resource. So you need to go to File, and here they call them notebooks. So notebook is a fancy name for a file. Click on notebook, and then you will open a brand new file. And today we will need a couple of libraries. So library, what is library? Library is a collection of functions. So we need to import a couple of things, pandas. And when I say pandas, I'm not talking about these little cute bears that are out there somewhere in China. I'm talking about panel data, very popular and very powerful library for data analysis as PD. Then we need to import matplotlib, pyplot as PLT. So matplotlib is Python major plotting library. So if you want to plot some histograms, I don't know, just bar charts, pie charts, or whatever, so you would need to use matplotlib. And the last thing, we need to import requests. Okay, and by the way, if you have any questions, we have our chats going on, so don't hesitate to ask me questions. Now, when you type something here, you always need to click this play button, or shorthand for the play button will be Shift Enter. Shift Enter will be shorthand for this click and play button. So you see, every time you click this play button, or run button is called, you're gonna get this mark that everything is fine. All right, so if you're doing some work with me, that's what you need to do. All right, and if you have no idea what pandas is, what matplotlib is, requests. Now, request is a special library to establish that internet connection and sort of get information from online sources, because Python is just programming language and you need requests to get that data. And by the way, in our courses on roboticview.com, we cover all these topics, and that's where I teach how to use all that stuff. Pandas, matplotlib, and how to analyze data. So if you're brand new to that stuff, please check out our website, roboticview.com, and please check our courses, Python Intensive for Complete Beginners, Python Data Science, that's pretty much what we're doing today, Machine Learning and AI Intensive, so that's where we teach to build machine learning apps. All right, so that's what we're doing. All right, getting back to our topic today. So I got pandas, matplotlib, payplot, plt. If you just join us and if you're planning to do some work, please go to alphavantage.co. You need to click get free API key, and then here you need to fill out, when you click on that page, you need to fill out that couple of questions, and then here you'll see an API key, and I hope you already got an API key. So as a matter of fact, I got my API key long time ago. So I got my API key. All right, so what we're going to be doing, next step, what we need to do, working with any API, you need to go to documentation. You always go to documentation, and let's take a look what they have here. So first of all, you could get information about stocks like intraday, if you, and I believe this would be paid because all green ones that will be paid. So intraday data, so if you're doing some day trading, that might be interesting for you. So daily prices, that's what we're going to do today, and a bunch of other things. Now also here they provide some analytics, news. Also they provide some fundamental data. So if you rely on fundamental research in your investing, so then you would need to use this fundamental data, company information, balance sheet, cash flow, earnings, kind of cool. Now also they provide exchange rates, different like forex pairs, and then cryptocurrencies. So if you're into Bitcoin or stuff like that, you'll find this information here. And you see they got like commodities, economic indicators. So if you need to use, let's say, inflation in your model or some other economic data, you could use Python to actually get this data in no time, and you could actually incorporate it into your model. All right, and they provide a bunch of other stuff. So that's kind of cool and popular source of financial information. So we're going to be using daily. So the reason why we're going to be using daily time series, so first of all, because it's free, and pretty much if you understand how to use this source of data, everything else will be kind of similar. All right, so let's take a look. So every time you start working with new API, you need to go to documentation and see what they say how to use this API. Now, some of the things required, such as functions. So function, they pretty much call this thing function time series daily because they need to know what information you're trying to get. So then you need stack symbol. All right, so then you need stack symbol. By default, it's IBM, but if you want to get something else besides IBM, you could use any stack symbol and bunch of other things. Now take a look that they say that they provide data in JSON. Again, if you didn't know or you missed that first part, so JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So that's very important and very popular data structure to send data. And by the way, here they provide a couple examples what you should get. So that's pretty much would be JSON, because you see curly braces, and that's what we're gonna get from their website. So obviously here they provide data for IBM, but we'll do Apple. All right, again, if you have any questions or if you need any help, don't hesitate to write questions in our live chat. And let me show you how to use this. So I hope you got pandas, matplotlib requests. And then you need to use an API key. Okay, please don't use my API key because I'm going to delete it later, so it's not going to work. So here you place an API key. All right, and then okay, I'm gonna scroll up a little bit, and then here the first thing what we're gonna do, we will create a stock symbol. So because we don't want to use IBM, and let's say Apple. All right, so let's say we got Apple. So then I will go to this page, and I'm just gonna copy this URL. And technically, what is this URL? They call them endpoints. Why? Because you could extend them, and based on the extension, they will get you different information from the database. Now, I want to make it clean, and I'll place this little f. So this little f stands for format. Again, if you have no idea what I'm doing here, so that's a plain vanilla Python. And then if you're curious about this stuff, please join our free course Python 101 that we're doing next week. All right, so you could enroll for free. So you see April 1st at 6 p.m. And we got a bunch of other courses for beginners. And by the way, we started now Python Intensive course, I believe also next week. All right, please check our schedule. And then here, so this little f, it's a format. So I'm going to replace IBM with curly braces. I'm going to replace IBM with curly braces. Okay, whites. Okay, curly braces. And in these curly braces, I'll place stock. So now why I'm doing it like this, let me show you why. Because this little f that stands for format will insert stack symbol into this string, into this URL. You see? Into this URL. And you see it's much neater than use bunch of plus signs, because sometimes people would use bunch of plus signs, and this would be much neater solution. Also here, instead of demo, you need to replace it with the API key. And API key in my case defined up there, so right here. All right. So you see that's an API key. So now everything is inserted here. So that's my URL, or fancy word would be endpoint. So now what I need to do, I need to fetch data from that URL. And how I'm going to do it, I'm going to use requests, a library that I have imported here. You could see pandas, matplotlib requests. So that's requests. And then if you have no idea how to do it, place period here, and this Google Colab will help you. It will pop up all available methods that built into that library. And I'm looking for method get. So usually in all our web development courses, we explain all these different HTTP methods. So there are two major ones. Get is pretty much when you're getting data from a server, and post is pretty much when you're sending data to a server. And I want to get this data, so I'll place here a URL, and I will assign it to response. All right, response. So now I'm going to run the cell. Let's take a look what's going on with the response. And response returned to me as 200. So what is a 200? So now server and the computer would be client, and the server, they exchange information, they send messages, and on top of the message in the header, so there is this code. You probably all seen, sometimes you Googling for information and you get the page not found 404. So guess what? 200, from 200 to 300 means everything is fine. So it means that we got that response. Now we need to parse that data, and we need to parse it as JSON. Why is JSON? Because documentation says so. You see, documentation says that URL serves data as JavaScript object notation. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to parse this data as JSON, and that data, and I got this data, so I'm going to assign it to variable name data. And the first thing I would recommend it to do, especially if you're just making your first steps in programming, okay, so Jeff is asking, how did you get that URL? Very good question. Again, Jeff, you probably missed that step. So first of all, you go to Alpha Vantage. So that's a provider of all this information. So then you need to click Get Free API Key. you're gonna get a free API key. And then next step, you need to go to documentation. You see, you need to go to documentation, and then here we're working with daily. So it's called time series daily. And then here they provide this URL. So that URL, I just copied it from here, you see. So, and then I replaced IBM with Apple because that's stock that I want to take a look at. And demo, I replaced with my own API key. So I hope I answered that question. All right. So now I'm getting data. Now, so the first thing I would do, I would use function type because I want to make sure that I really understand what data type I'm working with. Now, you see, that's a dictionary. So very important part, you need to understand, if you're making your first steps in Python, you need to understand Python data types. All right, so people asking for this link. I guess we'll have more people join us. So the most important part, if you're making your first step in programming, you need to understand built-in data types and data structures. So pretty much that container is for data. And that's exactly what we teach in our Python intensive course that we will begin on April 2nd. So that's night course. So usually we meet at 6 and work till 9. So 6 sessions, and this is where I teach all built-in data types. So that's a cornerstone of any programming language, and it's cornerstone of Python, obviously. Okay, so that's a dictionary. Okay, so the first thing I would do with the dictionary, because dictionary is a collection of pairs, key and value, key and value. So since this data is huge and it's difficult to understand what's going on here, I would run keys, method keys, and that method keys will immediately get me all available keys in that dictionary. All right, now you see I got metadata, and metadata is okay, but it's not important for me. The most important part for me is time series daily. Time series daily, okay. So now since it's a dictionary and you need to know how to work with the dictionary, so this is how you fetch values based on the key from a dictionary. See, I'm using square brackets and I'm getting this data. We don't have to do it, but just to make my code a little bit cleaner, I'll assign it to a new variable. Let's call it D for a dictionary. All right, so then dictionary is cool. However, it's difficult to work with this data, and because I'm planning to do some analysis, I'm planning to plot this data, and I prefer to use pandas. And if you notice here on top, I imported pandas as PD. And then what I'm going to do, I will take this PD, and again, you could see all available functions if you just place period here, and the one that I'm looking for is data frame. So what is a data frame? Data frame is another built-in data structure in pandas that's like really cool. And again, I mentioned that before, in Python you have built-in data types, so that good, but data frame is much faster. I usually like to compare data frame with other data types as like regular car and a race car. So data frame is a race car because it's like really fast, and usually that's what people use for data analysis. All right, so then and by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you could point here and you see it will pop up this help, and then you could read about it. Also, data frame is two-dimensional container. All right, so what can I do? So there are a couple options how we convert this data, our dictionary, into data frame. How? So if you place period here, you see, you'll see all built-in methods, and one that I'm looking for is from a dictionary. From dictionary, and if you have no idea how to use it, would be smart to run help. And again, I'm running help by just pointing here. And take a look here. So you see, so what they're asking, okay, so they're saying data should be dictionary. That's what we have on line 17. And orientation stands to columns. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place here a D, and I will save it with a variable name, a data frame. Take a look. All right, so now data frame is a data frame two-dimensional, kind of cool. However, I don't like that here on top dates used as columns. So why? Because here you see orientation set to columns. So I'm going to set orientation to index. Now take a look, totally different story. So now I got totally different story, and now I got data frame. So now this is index and these are columns. Let me remind you that data frame is two-dimensional data structure that got three major attributes: index, columns, and values. So pretty much you could see all of them. So index will be index, see? And then so you see I'm getting this index. Now while we on the subject, take a look here. Data type is object. So the point I'm trying to make, it's very important to understand data types in Python. Because although these look like dates, these are not actual dates. These are just strings. And string is just a text, and that's very important to understand. So in pandas they use this object. Object might mean different things, but 99.9% it means a string. And I need to convert them to datetime objects. So what I'm going to do, I'll use PD, and there is a function to datetime, you see, to datetime, and I'll convert this to datetime here. So now if you take a look at index, take a look. Technically, it looks the same. However, here data type says datetime object. You see, totally different story, and you'll see why it's so important a little bit later. All right, so that's one thing. All right, so then another thing, values. So all the values, and all these values, they look like numbers, but as a matter of fact, these are not numbers. Why? Again, take a look here what it says. It says object, so these are strings. And if you didn't know, let me tell you that in Python or in programming in general, you cannot do math with non-numeric data types. So that's very important. By the way, the first thing I would do, I mean, you could do what I'm doing here, or going step by step, or you could use method infor, and then pretty much what it's going to do, it will tell you data types of all columns. You see, object, 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 object. And that's wrong. Why it's wrong? Because maybe we want to manipulate this data, analyze this data, find the lowest price, find the highest price for that period, and we cannot do this filtration and comparison because these are strings. So the first thing we would need to do, we would need to take this data frame, and we'll do data frame, and I use this function apply map. Hey, why it's not working? Should be working. Apply map. So apply map, what it will do, it will apply function to the whole data frame, and I'll use PD to numeric. So that's another function that will convert everything to numeric values. Now, why I'm using PD to numeric, not a float? Because take a look, here we got volume, and volume should be integers, you see? So if I run this, and then if I do df infor again, So then would be what? Now you see totally different picture. So here we have object, object, object. So now we have float, 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 and volume is integers. Now if you don't know what float or integer, now integer is a whole number. So any whole number should be converted to an integer if you're planning to do some math. And float would be any number with a decimal point. So that's very important if you're planning to do some math. So that's very important part on line 28. And again, if you didn't know that, that's okay, because you could always join our course. You could go to our website, RoboticView, Python Intensive, and we started our night sessions on April 2nd. If you're not sure if this course is right for you, I would recommend you to go to resources, and next Monday we're doing live Python 101, where I'm going to be explaining the difference between strings, numeric data types, and other data types built into Python. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing next time. So now I have converted everything into numeric data types. Let's take a look. Now, usually I use head because there is so much data, and head will get you only first 5 top rows for data. Now, technically they look the same, however, these are numeric data types. So now, for example, I could find the highest close for that period. I believe that would be year. How would I do it? So I could say something like this, max close. And first, I need to identify what would be the largest number. So I'm going to take this column, and I'm going to find max. All right, so that would be max close. All right, so now I got that the max price for that period was $198 and some change. But that's not enough, because the most important part for me would be to know when that price has occurred. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create this max close condition, and the condition would go like this. I'll take this column again, and I filter. Double equal sign means comparison operator. I want to compare if one equals to that max close, and that would be condition. All right, and then if you take a look at max close condition, so you see that it returns boolean. Boolean is another built-in data type in Python, true or false, and then you could actually apply it to a data frame like this, and then you see I'm getting that highest price of $198 was when? December of last year, you see. So that's how, because I'm looking for this date, and I'm going to close, and I'm going to save it with the variable max close date. All right, so I need this for a future. All right, cool. So what can we do next? Now we could plot this data. For example, we could plot this data. How we're going to plot this data? Now, again, if you scroll up, you see on top, I have imported matplotlib pyplot as PLT. So that's a core Python library for data visualization. And what I'm going to be doing here, so I could do PLT, and I'll use plot. Now, if you have no idea how to use plot, you could point here, and it will pop up this help again. And you see it requires X and Y coordinates, right? Because you want to plot it based on X and Y. All right, cool. So if you want to plot this data, what's going to be X, what's going to be Y? All right, so I assume that X should be dates. Now, dates in our data frame is index. All right, and then I want to plot closing prices. So that would be this column. So you see, and I'm going to plot this data. And we plotted this data. That's okay, but we could make it nicer, maybe a little bit, right? We could make it a little bit nicer. So how we're going to make it nicer? So for starters, we could actually do some styling, plt style, style function use, and then we could use seaborn. Seaborn, for example. You see, so now it's much nicer, right? So we got the seaborn prices, okay. And now we could also add title, plt title, and title would be, we could use again, we could make it versatile, because if later you change that symbol on top from Apple to something else, it would be much easier to change it. So here's going to be stock, and then we call this historic prices. All right, so now you see we're going to add this title, Apple historic prices. All right, cool. So then we could provide labels for X and Y. So here we could do PLT Y label, Y label, and Y label would be let's say US dollars, and PLTX label would be what? Would be dates. All right. Now you see we got dates, we got US dollars. All right, cool. Very cool, very cool. All right, so now, and if you don't like this part, let me show you a little trick. You could place this semicolon at the end, so this will be gone. And basically, maybe I want to mark the highest point on this graph. And you see I got max close data. Now it's very important to understand data type of max close data. And usually that's what I teach and explain how to do this, because if you understand that part, everything else will be easy. So if you run type on this, you see that that's a data frame, and data frame is two-dimensional, size mutable, potentially heterogeneous data container, you see, with index and columns. All right, cool. So then what can I do with it? I want to plot it. I want to plot this. All right, so how I'm going to plot this? So I will use scatter. So here I'll squeeze in scatter, plt scatter. And again, if you don't know how to use scatter, that's okay, because you could always use help. So point here and it tells you that, you see, you need X and Y. So in this case, X would be what? Max close data. So let me shorten this a little bit because it's like too long. Okay, so I'm gonna call it max close date, MCD. Don't take it from McDonald's though. All right, so now that would be my X, so that would be index, because remember, data frame is two-dimensional with three major attributes: index, columns, values. And then MCD, I need to get that price. All right, I need to get that price. Take a look. So now it's right here, but it's not that really visible. So we could change color and set it to red, first of all, right? And we could make it as a star. So that would be, I believe, marker. And marker I could set at the star. And I could change size to something like large, like 400 maybe, just to make it visible. All right, so you see, so that's how easy it's to use Python. And I'm going to show something else in a minute. But the point I'm trying to make, if you want to learn how to use pandas and matplotlib to manipulate and analyze data and visualize this data, so I would definitely recommend you to go to our website, RoboticView, And here we got a bunch of courses. If you're brand new to Python, I would definitely start with Python Intensive, and you could bundle them. And then Python Data Science, that's pretty much what we're doing today. And this is where I teach all the stuff. And then you could use Python and Pandas not only for finance, but pretty much for anything else. All right. Now let me show you what else can we do. Now we could take these closing prices. We could take these closing prices, and then we could use uh, percentage change. Percentage change. So then we could calculate returns. We could calculate returns. Now, right. We could calculate returns. And I'm going to save it as returns. Now here on top we see NaN, so it means there is no data, and that kind of makes sense. So what we could do, we could use returns, and we could drop an A. We could remove that, drop an A, and we could save it using in place true. And then basically if we want to see returns, daily returns for Apple, we could plot it as a histogram. How would we plot it as a histogram? So it will be hist, and then again, if you go to histogram, you see it requires some data, and it splits it into bins. All right, so it all depends how much data we have. So here I'm going to place it into returns. We're going to place returns into histogram. Let's see. And you see it's pretty much plotted this histogram for us. And maybe we could change number of bins to I don't know. Let's do 50. So 50, see, so it all depends on data. It's more precise data. And basically what we see here, so this is movement, daily movement for Apple stock. So you see, you could lose 3% or you could make 4%. And this would be frequency. Again, we could add labels here. I'm just going to copy it from here. So we could just grab it from here, and that would be returns. We don't need scatter here, obviously, so I'm going to remove it from here. And Y label would be frequency, and this would be percentages or returns. Right, returns. So now this is how you could plot this histogram, and basically what we've been doing so far, if you just join us, we fetch data from Alpha Vantage, and we could do a bunch of things with that data, right? And also, let me show you something else. Now again, we could take our data frame, and here we got volume. So maybe I want to know what's average volume would be for Apple, because that's important for if you're trading, let's say, that stock. So you see, I could slice this column, and then I could use I could use description. I could use describe, and describe will get me a snapshot of this data. So, or I could just use mean, and that mean will get me that average volume, you see. And I could also see like what the volume would be on the lightest day, like today, if you follow in stock market. So you know that today was the lowest volume, I believe, maybe for the whole year. So volume, and that would be mean, you see. And you could do a bunch of things like really quick, and you could actually analyze this data. All right, so please let me know if you have any questions. By the way, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this file, and if you miss something, I will place this file a little bit later into description for this video. If you like that video, if you want to see more of these videos, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel, because we usually do this stuff every week, or sometimes we do it twice a week. All right, so if you want to do more APIs, if you want to do more Python stuff and Python for data science and machine learning especially, please join us and write in under this video what kind of stuff you would like to see here, because we could use machine learning algorithms to predict a bunch of things. For example, we could predict stock movement, or we could predict, I know, a bunch of other things. We could play with it, all right? And so if you like this video, please give us a like. And I'm keeping an eye on our channel, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Also, if you're brand new to Python and some of the things that I mentioned here, totally new for you, please go to our website, RoboticView. And if you go to resources, and please sign up for Python 101, that's what we're doing next Monday. All right, I believe that's all time we have for today. Thank you for joining us, and I'm going to place link to this website in the description to this video. Thank you.